Hi everyone, this is Vernon again, sharing another upload to First Generation Transform, the channel that is dedicated to helping first generation candidate attorneys with tools, understandings, and approaches that you can use in your transition and also smoother integration into the corporate world. Welcome back to part 2. As promised, in today's upload, I'll be giving you an approach that you can use to help make the first few months of articles, the transition, a bit easier, both mentally and emotionally. And by the way, this approach is not only relevant to the first few months of articles, it's also relevant when you make your transition over into associate and also when you're a senior associate as well. Because I've been doing one-on-one work with senior associates and I see a similar pattern happening. So I know this will be of assistance to you, and if you are still quite junior. Before I give my suggestion, I am obliged to share and to shed light on why I'm actually giving my suggestion and approach that I'm going to be giving to you in this upload. And here it is. I've been working in the faculty now for 7 years, and I've been seeing an interesting phenomenon. Now, I would not have noticed it if it was not for the fact that I personally went through it as well, and also if I actually didn't do some research with regards to it. Now, here's what it is. Because you are studying and you are at university and you're studying law, it's quite obvious and normal for you to be stressful, right? That makes sense. But I'm going to tell you what's not that normal. It's the concern around mental health amongst law students. Now, when I say mental health, I don't mean cuckoo. When I say mental health, I mean that if you've been studying law, the chances are that you know someone, if it's not you yourself, the chances are that you know someone who has been suffering from depression, who's had to take pills for depression, who's had to see a psychologist, someone who's just overly anxious, overly cautious, those people? Just anxiety ridden unnecessarily sometimes. Some people might even say, those types of people who's just like a, Johnny Raincloud. Now, as I said, you might think that it's normal because of the environment you're studying. So it's normal, obviously. That's also what I thought when I was studying. That's also what I thought when I had to see a psychologist for many years. That's what I thought when I had to take antidepressants, and I hated it because it gave me headaches the whole time. I'm here to tell you that it's not by chance. There are reasons for this. It's symptomatic of another phenomenon that's playing itself out below the threshold of conscious awareness. And when I do my uploads with regards to lawyer personality, I'll be dissecting this for you a little bit so that you can understand, what it is, what the symptoms are, and also what you can do about it. Now, this issue makes my suggestion and my approach that I'm going to be giving today in this upload very relevant and also very necessary. But also, just to give you a fair warning, because of what I've just told you, my approach and suggestions are actually also going to feel like you swimming upstream, because it is going to be a bit of a bumpy ride, applying the suggestions that I'm going to be mentioning. So brace yourself. But I think that you will appreciate it once you start hitting cruising altitude, because you'll be able to see things from a much better perspective. Do you know what I mean? So here's my suggestions. with regards to those first few months of articles, and also, going in as well. It involves two things essentially. The first approach suggestion is you have to remember that you are busy doing articles, and it is imperative for you to remember that you have to keep a learning attitude. You have to keep a learning attitude. Now, this is not what you think it means. I'm going to tell you now in this upload what it actually means, so stay tuned. Secondly, the second approach is you must remember, and always remember this, you must not take things personally. And I'll also tell you how this kind of plays itself out, and also what you need to do about this, right? So stick around. Now, I know for some of you, you might be thinking, yo, this is like, what the hell? This is basic stuff. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Yeah, okay. But need I remind you, and just in case you forgot, in part 1, I told you that when you make your transition over into corporate, you'll be going into an environment that you haven't been yet before, that you don't know all the processes yet, and that you don't know every, nook and cranny of where to go when you really need help. But what I didn't mention deliberately in part 1 is that there is going to be quite a bit of there's going to be very high expectations that's going to be placed on you from your direct superiors. And also, you are also at times going to be expected to produce results under hostile conditions by your superiors. But I'm here to tell you something else. Listen closely. No matter how much the pressure is that your superiors are going to be putting on you, no matter how much that is, that's not going to be nearly as high and as much as the pressure that you are going to put on yourself. And this is what makes it imperative for you to learn to manage your mental and emotional state. And it starts here with this upload. So here's my first suggestion. It's imperative to remember every day that you are busy doing articles, and that you are busy learning. That's what articles is about. You are busy learning, and that you don't know everything yet. Because I know if you could do it faster, you would. And if you could do it better, you obviously would. And I also know it's only natural for you to, put pressure on yourself, because we both know that you're in a competition of sorts. We both know that you want to make an impression. We both know that, you want to have a job after your articles. And, for some of you, I know that you might be the only breadwinner, because I was. So what am I saying? I'm saying that you put in everything. You work your ass off, and you hustle, and you do what you must to learn and to grow as much as you can. But in the process, it's important for you to remember that you should not sting your heart with unnecessary guilt, anger, frustration, resentment, because you can't figure things out as fast as you would like. Listen, the time is going to come when you are going to be able to produce much more efficiently, where you are going to be able to handle things much quicker. Those times are going to come. It will come, and probably sooner than later as well. So remember this. So practically what this means, and practically what you should do, is the following. When you make a mistake, or when you can't figure things out, or when you are stalling, instead of going home and saying, shit, like, why couldn't I figure it out? Why can't I still figure it out? What's wrong with me? My superior's probably thinking I'm stupid. Other people are probably thinking I'm stupid. They're probably talking about me already. Listen, instead of doing that, my humble approach and suggestion is that you go home after licking your wounds. You go home and you say, my heart burns because I would like to do things faster and more proficiently. But at the moment, I am not as informed and able to function as proficiently as my superiors would like. And yes, I know the consequences, of real life. But everyone has to start somewhere. Remember this. Everyone has to start somewhere. And I'm not the first person to make a mistake or to stall. So I choose to remind myself on a daily basis when I let shit hit the fan that I'm in a learning process. But that I will still pick myself up and then just move forward and do what I need to do without stinging myself unnecessarily, because this is my future. You know what I mean? Now, this approach is actually, to be honest with you, it's actually not that easy. Because when you're in the line of fire, it can be a bit hectic because, it's a ducking and diving that's going on. But it's also not easy because here's the other thing. The person giving you the instructions will sometimes let you know in no uncertain terms, both verbally and non-verbally, that you have let shit hit the fan. So, my second suggestion, an approach that you should follow, decide to follow, is that no matter what happens, you must not take what is being said. Don't take it personally. Remember, sometimes the consequences are going to be real and things will be said. But when you mess up, and your principal lays it on you, don't take those utterances as a personal attack. Don't. What I will suggest is that you need to exercise your discretion at those moments. Look, if you really have let shit hit the fan, or you've just really done something unnecessary, then exercise your discretion and think to yourself, you know what, I probably probably do deserve it. Just let that slide. But don't take it as a personal attack. So exercise your discretion in that way. And I mean, obviously, if your superior starts cussing and talking about your mom, then obviously that's another story. Then things obviously should be taken further. But here's the thing. You actually can't afford to take every utterance as a personal attack. You also can't afford to beat yourself up every time you make mistakes. You can't afford that. Why? Because it will drain the living daylights out of you. Because we all know that emotions can't be compartmentalized, right? So that means that you will go with those emotions, you will go home, and you will go kick your dog, and your dog will be like, why are you kicking me? And your dog bites you, and then you can't even go to work the next day because you have to go to the doctor. Because we all know that emotions in one area has a knock-on effect on another area, So So that's my suggestion with regards to those first few months of articles. If you found this interesting and you like it, then please, hit the like button. And if this is really of interest to you, write a comment and say yes, this makes sense. Or if you're in an article, say, absolutely. So please like. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time I do an upload. Thank you. It's a pleasure to share. Bye.